tell me what's going on. Yeah.
All right, everybody. This is JCV coming out with another video for you. I apologize for the sound quality. I'm sitting in my car outside of the apartment. I just realized that, you know what? Oftentimes these are the best places and opportunities, basically, to record stuff. Once I go inside my home, it's kids, it's wife, it's life. It's really hard to find a opportune moment to record these thoughts. So I'm doing it right now. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about the Linux operating system. Yeah, kind of a weird topic probably for this channel, but let me tell you, it's pretty important. So listen up. This topic is obviously more for the people who've actually had some experience with Linux, feel like they're part of the community in one way or the other. And I'm going to talk about the Linux market share a little bit and how we could actually improve that. See, the thing is this. I've been a user of Linux ever since late 2007. Back then, Linux was not as user-friendly as it is today. There's a lot of hoops you had to jump through, a lot of learning that I needed to do, which was amazing. I liked that part, actually. It really made me understand better how computers work. Trying to install NVIDIA drivers for my laptop was a pain in the butt. I figured it out. Back in those days, man, that was command line stuff all the way. Anyway, today, the operating system itself is very usable. And I would argue that Ubuntu, Elementary, at least variants of Linux, are actually easier and more comfortable to use than a Windows operating system. I would even say it's easier than Mac OS X in many ways. At least it's a lot more secure. Sorry, I'm downing some Monster while I'm doing this. It's a weakness of mine. Anyway, yeah, the Linux is really easy to use, and just as a general purpose operating system for regular users, it is everything that you should need. Not only that, it's actually a lot more than that. It provides you the platform that's very secure and very reliable. Also provides you with tons of software that you don't have to pay for. That's also quite high quality. And allows you to do just a huge variety of different kinds of tasks. You can go and do video editing on your Linux box and not pay a dime for that. Obviously, you'll be able to watch Netflix. You'll be able to do all of your online stuff for the most part. And, you'll have your spreadsheets. You'll be able to write your documents and so on. And so, for the most part, the general purpose usage, it's absolutely spot on. Well, all right then, Mr. Smarty Pants. How is it that this wonderful operating system of yours isn't in wider use? That's a good question. I think one of the big issues is that, well, first of all, you have to install it yourself. And a lot of people would probably consider that process to be somewhat complicated. I mean, it's not. It really isn't. It's very simple. But, I mean, most people aren't technically that savvy. And so they're not really willing to do that. And I really understand that. There's more exterior problems like OEMs. Generally, when there's a manufacturer or then there's a merchant, they will sell you a computer with a Windows license on it. And even though there are companies that will sell you Linux computers, they're few and far between. There's a few companies in the United Kingdom, and there are some in the United States and so on. I'm not really sure if there are any in Finland. I think there's somebody who refurbishes old computers and then puts, Ubuntu on it or something like that. Regardless of that point, I'm not really concerned about the exterior problems. I think that's something that it's really difficult for individual people to even fix. I am more concerned about the interior problems, and that's the Linux community itself. I know this is a bold statement. It's controversial. And listen to my argument, though. And I hope you guys comment this. I think there needs to be a conversation about this whole thing in the Linux community. But my argument is this. The Linux community has absolutely failed to support the people who develop their software solutions for them. The kind of stuff that you use every day in your life. Think about the operating system you're using. Think about all the different software packages that you're using. They're tools. Somebody had to work really hard to make those tools work properly, and now you're taking advantage of those tools, okay? I'm not saying that it's wrong that you use them. What I'm saying is that you shouldn't really bitch and moan about the defects or the bugs that you find in those products if you're not even willing to pay for them. I've noticed that there's this weird attitude, this aversion to pay for the privilege of using tools that somebody else worked really hard to create, as if it's dirty or morally wrong to ask for some kind of monetary compensation for using some specific tool. This is apparent, especially with the Elementary project. I mean, they create their website, they allowed people to download their operating system, but if you clicked on the download button, they would ask for a monetary compensation for downloading the thing. You could actually download it if you just pressed $0, $0, and then download. But they decided that it would be nice to ask for a compensation for the work that they've done. I think it was completely justified, but a lot of the community members didn't. And there was all sorts of ridiculous argumentation as to why they shouldn't be asking for money. This is one of the main reasons why Linux is not going to grow anywhere. Okay, it's not the exterior problems that exist in the world. No, it's the interior ones. Because if you guys are the number one fans of this product, if you guys are the biggest evangelizers of the Linux operating system, if you are the ones who go out and talk to people and basically compel your family members and friends to switch from Windows to Linux, but fail to support the people who actually provide you with this operating system, then isn't that hypocritical? Regular people go to stores and they purchase Windows licenses for over $100, man. And they're willing to do it. They don't even complain about it. It's like, well, yeah, I need this. It's the new version of Windows. I need it for one reason or another. And, it benefits me, so I'm willing to depart from my money. How much better is Linux over Windows? I mean, I wish I could use Linux as my daily driver. I can't because the software that I need isn't available there. Well, how do we do that? How do we fix that? Well, the number one thing that we should stop doing is being freaking cheap. Start supporting the developers who are making your solutions. I'll give you an example. I use Krita. I don't really use it for work, but I like the software package. It's a digital painting tool, and it's a really, really well-developed one. I really like it. It's available for Windows, Mac OS X, and Linux. Some of the features that you can find in Krita are more advanced than those found in Photoshop, okay? So in some ways, it's better. Obviously, it's free. I mean, it's a lot more... Photoshop, using Photoshop or any of the tools from Adobe these days is actually pretty expensive because you have to get that monthly subscription thing, right? Krita is free, but it provides you with all the necessary tools to paint digitally. And you can make absolutely fantastic images with it, right? But when you go to their website and you see the Krita Foundation donations that have been made, it's almost criminal. There's almost no money there, man. But still, they have people developing this absolutely fantastic tool. And so I've taken some money of my own and I've donated it to Krita because I find it to be an absolutely fantastic tool. And they're really good about informing about the changes they're making, the new features they're going to put in. And they have really nice videos that kind of demonstrate what they're doing. In other words, they're really good at communicating what they're doing. And this is what Linux needs to do with their operating systems, obviously, but also with the applications that are available for Linux. There needs to be a channel of communication for the users so they understand the benefits of these software packages. More importantly, we, the users, once we find the tools that we use that are beneficial to us, and moreover than that, if we're capable of monetizing the use of these applications, i.e. you can make a business out of it, we should start funding these projects so that they can get better, they can create a budget of some sort, and they can start hiring people to actually better their products in a more rapid fashion. This is what Linux needs to do. If we wanted to, the whole Linux community could make Linux incredibly viable tomorrow. You can make that change tomorrow. We could stop complaining about the fact that companies don't make Linux drivers and, not all hardware is compatible and all these other issues. Oh, Linux doesn't get these and that. We could stop complaining about that. Because if tomorrow we decided to start supporting the operating system properly, that is, using our wallets, the whole thing would change. And the reason is this. If we as the biggest fans are not willing to pay for the privilege of using these solutions, then the companies that build software, specific kinds of software that people need, well, they're going to look that there's no point in investing in the Linux platform because the people themselves are not willing to depart from their money. They're not willing to purchase applications, whether they were open source or not. I say it's time we start funding the solutions that we want to see in our operating systems. I, for myself, feel like I would love to have some kind of an alternative for Photoshop on Linux. Krita goes pretty far with that. It's not a photo editing suite by any standards, but it could be something similar. And I can only dream of the things that they'd be able to pull off with 120,000 euros in their bank account. You know, I wonder how many people they could be able to hire, what features they'd be able to implement, and how fast they'd be able to pull off these features into the next build or whatever. I mean, I'm absolutely certain that awesome things would happen if we'd managed to do that. And really think about it. The amount of people that we have in this community, would it really be that difficult to make some kind of a campaign and then have, I don't know, even 500,000 euros or dollars be contributed to a specific project so that they can create a wonderful solution for us? So I'm going on a rant here. I understand that. The solution, guys, is easy. It really is. If you love the software that you're using, start paying for it. So yeah, I think one of the big issues is funding. And we, the users, are the solution to that. I feel that Linux needs a better way of handling audio. I know the guy who's responsible for the Linux audio system is now working on a new one. I think that's a good place to start funding. I mean, I would totally drop like 50 euros myself. I'm a student. I don't have a lot of money right now. But I would totally find a way to drop 50 euros for that project. And I think that we need to be able to act collectively in order to better the Linux operating system so that we can use it more effectively in our daily lives. And look, man, it's not that hard. We can do it. It just requires communication, and it requires a laser focus on the things that we really see as important things. I mean, if Linux had a Photoshop equivalent or the Adobe Suite equivalent, and I think a lot of the KDE projects actually they get pretty close to that ideal, right? It would allow so many more people to switch away from Windows and start using the Linux operating system. And that would just increase productivity. That would increase the speed at which Linux would get better and better. So I hope this is a start for a new conversation and how we can improve Linux and the software that's available for Linux. I think we need ways of aggregating resources so that we can channel them to those specific targets that are necessary for the growth of Linux. And we need to be willing to put some money there. I'm not saying that we need to put a lot of money. It's just that the more people who decide to contribute, less is the burden from everybody else. So we could work with mass here. And my hope is that something like this could be pulled off relatively soon, because now they're starting to talk that Windows might turn into a monthly service thing. Oh my gosh. At that point, I'm totally just jumping out of Windows. But anyway, Linux is awesome. I'm somewhat disappointed in how little appreciation the community itself has demonstrated actively towards Linux and all these applications. But I know we can do a lot better than that. And it starts with, obviously with the individual. We have to be willing to make some, we have to be able to make some sacrifices, monetary ones at first. But we need to be able to basically encourage everybody else also to get on this train, to start paying for these developers and support them in a way that will inspire them to, build even better software for us. And yeah, I'll rant more about this later on. I think I have some ideas when it comes to like aggregating finances and, perhaps creating an organization that would help people to make decisions on what projects they would like to contribute to and so on. I'll talk to you about that later. For now, I hope you're not completely bummed out. It's not like I hate the Linux community. I just want to point out the faults. I'm part of the community myself. I've never really said anything before. I'm starting to do that now. But hey, guys, it's only upwards that we can go from here. And the path is relatively easy, right? It's just a path of sacrifice, a little bit of money on the side, you know. But I see the end results being absolutely fantastic. So let's try and envision what Linux could be if we became a little more involved with supporting developers. And that's basically what I'm going to say for now. If you like this video, please subscribe and leave some comments. Let's have a conversation about this thing. And I'll probably have another Linux related video coming out soon. And that's all. You guys have a good one. Bye.